Na kane Ghana mampani Excellency John Dramani Mahama ono ene himfranka ede ema NDC amanyoku ewo nano adabacha ekotu yi na odi etiri kwansem ene moniyo ede ama kane Nandoli Kalio emrashibe dwani monyafo Alban for Alban Bagbin se enura anopa ye to abana se na anopa ye kwa emrashibe dwafie ekwo pempem so akwato aba ema ehu tiwase so de ye nyina achi no ye de tumi no ahye ne nsa se ono ena emeye chiame efa ema emrashibe dwafie ya etoso enwochi na abra kane Ghana mampanyine echiro no nsem ede ababontin no odi to just say monyafo Alban for Bagbin eyobia eba emre onimpa ena eba pani afana se wono ma chira mrashibe dwafie wa chepa papai odi mo akotene pa enei se wo pra wono ma wa che ewo mrashibe dwafie omprempren ono ena ye class captain esa se wa chepa enfie pole adwonu wa 28 years enya asem ketwa ebi kwa empre ba ko asan ebi kwa empre mi nyu asan ebi mo kura de so prime basic kura ne ya wo mati ko ye mo nkompo ni nyina so papa we atimi afam bi e de na emu ede de emu anyo ni nyina we di so a na ewo ba hia se ne Ghana fo nyina bo papa na ba so se ne wa ba be ye chia me e de ama emrashibe dwafie ono mo na enu achi ana kane Ghana mapai ni Excellency John Dramani Mahama e de etwega se wo hwe de akọ so enura enumre e wo emrashibe dwafie ono mo entwe ye kra e se Ghana fo nyina sori waka no obi akasetia se de akọ so Ghana emrashibe dwafie enura anko ye kra honorable members pa na mu gu mu wani masisei na mo ye nyeme mo mada pa ededi enyasi nyina ehso man Ghana be una kwabrane oyin ba ko sum kwabrane wo ba ko se tebrase ebi tira bi na so aba emrashibe dwafie entwe ye kwa eti kane Ghana man pa ni se wakasetia se de akọ so Ghana emrashibe dwafie entwe ye kwa eti obi aso so enkasentia na mum odi etiri kwansem e de ema kane Nandoli emrashibe dwani na no eno san so edi bi etwaso se abatso ni kwa ekwaso a ene wu se onema obe before complain for omuso tisim na se hene ha emrashibe dwafie for pa na me omokwato aba asrafo abele piembi ene timamfo so nyeden ebere emema pa so masi address kuntan aya se emrashibe dwafie jama second world war siwo e ba be pata o se sane mo wenyina entwaye wakasetia enti o se Ghana fo nyina so se Ghana fo yesu enkasetia
they would approach some of these issues that brings tension among them with some trepidation and ensure that these things do not characterize their proceedings and deliberations.
Now, if you have followed, some of the things that have happened in other parliaments, even in the parliaments of developed world, we have seen some of these rather unfamiliar, chaotic scenes in some of these parliaments. Do you get the sense that there is a sort of ripple effect on what's happening, or what, let's say, members of parliament in our part of the world feel they can do? Because there tend to be a sense of total disregard for public perception of their behavior.
I don't think there is any. I don't think it's a ripple effect. What we are seeing is simple. Is the fact that we haven't had this kind of parliament before. We haven't had this kind of parliament that has majority, or that they could not even today talk about majority and minority.
Right.
We haven't had this kind of parliament that has 137, and then one independent person. We haven't had it before. And so I'm saying these are some of the features that typifies such kind of parliaments all over the world. And so they are just reflecting what happens when you have a parliament where no political party has enough numbers to command majority of votes. But like I said, I want to hope and believe that you would agree with me that towards the end of all these things, they were calm and all that. So,
which is what I was going to come to, because it appears that the nature of the conversation at the end had everything to do with the election of the speaker. It looks as if the speaker now coming from the side of the opposition calmed the tensions there, would you say?
Yeah, because like I said, you are dealing with do you even have opposition? Well, okay, you have a ruling government.
Of
You
course.
are dealing with an opposition that felt that it also had the numerical strength and all that, so they were pushing their agenda, and they didn't want anybody to outsmart them. They didn't want their efforts to be thwarted and all that. And so once they got what they wanted, and also once the party that has formed the government also started realizing that, look, we do not even have the kind of strength that we used to have in time past. They became calm, and once they also became calm, then generally you were expecting that issues will be settled in a manner that will bring some conciliation and then some peace. And so generally this is what happened, and I want to hope and believe, as I indicated earlier, that going forward this shouldn't be the conduct and behavior of our members of parliament. Yes, legislative violence happens all over the world. It will happen when when there is a hung parliament, and when there are divisive issues, and when political parties have more or less equal numerical strength. It will happen. But the point is, as a developing nation, we have shown over the in the West African sub-region, and we've shown the world that we are interested in climbing higher the ladder of democratic progression. And so my caution or my word of advice is that let our members of parliament copy best practices, and not to allow the fact that yes, we have a hung parliament to usher them into a regime where every deliberation or parliamentary proceedings may be characterized by rancor, acrimony, and tension.
Well, getting them to choose that path, is there a way you think that you reckon that Ghanaians can actually force the sides to work together without the scenes that
No, there's a way for them to work together. First of all, they had a clerk of parliament who was clearly very weak and unprepared for the job. Okay,
is it fair to describe him as such, looking at what we had
we've witnessed this before. This is not the first time we are having to elect our Speaker of Parliament, and the proceedings have been managed by a clerk of parliament. We saw the days of Kentechi and co. I think, to my mind, he was quite weak and seemed unprepared for the task. Otherwise, he should have anticipated some of these things and quickly summoned a meeting among the leaders of the House to brainstorm and find resolutions or solutions to the issues before they de-escalated. And so, yes, that happened. But now you have a speaker of parliament who has the experience, persona, and pedigree in the person of Alban Bagbin. He's been there for 28 years, and he's been a second deputy speaker of parliament for some time. I want to believe that given the experience that he have, he would quickly be able to meet the leaders of the House behind the scenes when some of these issues, there are indications or signs that some of these issues may happen. When you're able to meet and have a certain respect, show a certain courtesy and respect to the leadership, issues would not de-escalate. And you would agree with me that when they met, and then they decided on who should become the second deputy speaker and first deputy speaker, and they brought it to the plenary, and you didn't have objection and opposition and all that. And so going forward, they should be well aware that no political party has the numerical strength to bulldoze its way through. If you try to do that, you'll be met with stiff opposition, and some of these things will happen. And so they should be politically wise and proactive in ensuring that they resort to maneuvers behind the scenes that would preempt or prevent the occurrence of some of these acts of brawl and conflict on the floor of parliament. You work at it behind the scenes before you come to plenary, and if you do that, I want to believe our parliamentary practice will be a shining example for the rest of the Africa region.
I have two quick questions before we wrap up. based on the back of what you have just said, would you describe what happened prior to the leadership now meeting to get things to flow naturally as a pure leadership failure? Perhaps if they had had that meeting earlier.
Well, pure leadership failure, I mean, it's apt. And like I said, the clerk was quite weak and seemed unprepared for the task.
No, I'm talking about the side.
So next time,
the majority and the minority leader in the 7th Parliament at the time of these.
well, somebody
chaos.
should have summoned them to a meeting. Normally, they are combatants, and you needed a referee, a third party, to bring them, a referee to stand in the middle, to bring them together, to settle the issues, out of the public view. And this wouldn't have led to what we all witnessed, which to my mind is